get the best solar for you. Find us at greenmtnsolar.com. That's greenmtnsolar.com.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy. How does anybody live and drive in Boston every single day? This guy stopped in the middle of the road with his hazard lights on. This guy won't yield. That guy won't let you go. That guy passes in front of you. That guy goes 3 lanes of traffic all in one shot. How does anybody do this? The passion. Look, if the Red Sox aren't going to play Yoshida and Devers as they're about to get swept, then we might as well just give up and go home. The opinions on all your favorite teams. I'm glad that Mac Jones looks better. That's really important. He needs to look better. But if it were a video game, he'd still have an overall rating of 76, and that ain't cutting it. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? A very happy Friday to you. The last day of June. We're approaching July 4th weekend. Hard to believe. It really does feel like yesterday that we were talking about the Patriots getting ready for week 18. It feels like yesterday we were talking about UVM men's basketball getting ready for Marquette in the NCAA tournament, and the women getting ready for UConn. It feels like yesterday, and here we are 3, 4, 5 months later from those things getting ready for July 4th. I mean, seriously, I've never remembered a year going this fast. We're brought to you by Fecto Homes, your total home solution in Montpelier. The Air Auto text line is open at 802-585-3026. Again, that's 802-585-3026. AirAutoSales.com. They're located on North Main Street in Barrie. We're on for, it's kind of a weird show time slot. We're on for 37 minutes technically, but what we'll do is we'll go 5:30 to 6. Then we'll get the CBS News update. I'll come back, give you the Red Sox lineups, and then it will be time to go. Sox and Blue Jays pregame show is 6:07. The first pitch is 7:07. Why the Blue Jays start games at 7:07, I don't know, instead of 7:05 or 7:10, which would certainly make things easier for us. Who knows? But again, the game will start at 7:07. Again, 802-585-3026.
4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to do something that I almost never do. I'm going to do something I almost never do. I'm going to get irrational here. Okay? My whole career, I have made a career out of being smart, out of being reasoned, out of seeing the long-term vision, of playing the long game. I've done that my entire career. Today, it's time to get a little irrational. The Boston Red Sox this offseason need to do everything in their power to get Shohei Ohtani. Okay? Everything in their power. Okay? I have believed for my entire career, draft and develop. I have believed for my entire career, player development systems. I have believed for my entire career in building up prospects and building up the farm system. I still believe in all of that. That is the framework of a good baseball team. But the Boston Red Sox this offseason need to do everything possible to get Shohei Ohtani, because that is the guy that can save this thing. Okay? I don't care if it's $520 million. I don't care if it's $550 million. I don't care if it's $610 million. The Boston Red Sox need to go after Ohtani, and they need to do it as hard as they possibly can. If they're going to get beat out simply because Ohtani doesn't want to play in Boston and doesn't want to live here, then that is one thing. But you cannot be beat out by money. You cannot be beat out by presentation. You cannot be beat out by another team simply because you didn't come hard enough for him. Okay? The Red Sox need to develop Marcelo Meyer and Nick York and Tristan Casas and Bryan Bello and Jarren Duran. They need all of that. That is the basis of your baseball team. but Shohei Ohtani better be the biggest target you've ever had this offseason, because I'm getting tired of watching what we're watching. Okay? I believe in what Chaim Bloom is doing long term, and long term, what he's doing is good for the franchise in terms of building up the prospect capital. But at the major league level, we can't take this anymore. I'm tired of watching Garrett Richards of the world. I'd like to be watching Ohtani. I'm tired of watching Corey Kluber of the Corey Klubers of the world. I'd rather be watching Ohtani. I'm also tired of seeing the Red Sox, who couldn't do anything but hit in April, not be able to hit now. The Boston Red Sox have scored 11 runs in their last 7 games. 11 runs in 7 games. That's less than 2 runs a game. They have not had a 7-game stretch that futile since 1981. When you are doing things offensively that you haven't done this poorly in more than 40 years, it's time to think bigger. I'm tired of watching, as much as I like him, I'm tired of watching the Rob Refsnyders of the world. And again, Refsnyder's good, and he's valuable. I'm tired of watching him need to be the 3-hitter when you play against lefties. I'm tired of seeing guys hitting for no power be in the middle of the order. It is time. Do all the other stuff you want in the background, but at the big league level, you need showtime. You need a move. And Ohtani's got to be it. I never call for irrational spending. I never call for teams to go outside their organizational development pattern. Not really, at least. I balk at other teams that overpay. I don't care. For this guy, it's worth it, because he's what can save this. All that other stuff is fine. Ohtani can keep you afloat because he can help your rotation. He can help your offense, both of which have let you down at various times. Early in the year, your starting pitching couldn't do anything. Later in the year, now your offense can't do anything. Ohtani can fix both. This guy is leading baseball in home runs. He's second at last check in the American League in strikeouts as a pitcher. You need help on all fronts. This is the guy to do it. And you better find a way. You better find a way to make sure you've presented the best possible offer and the best possible presentation. I'm talking about the money being right. I'm talking about the recruiting process being right. I would send Masataka Yoshida to his house. I would have Kojei Uehara and Daisuke and Hideki Okajima and the guys who played for the Red Sox that are from Japan talk about the way the organization treats Japanese players, talk about the way the fans will embrace you. Koji is beloved. Daisuke, not beloved, but Daisuke can talk about what it was like, and Daisuke certainly is liked by the organization. I would have those guys call him. I would have those guys visit him. I would fly him in a private jet out to Boston. I'd go visit him on a private jet. I don't care. This team needs that kind of oomph. And as they did all that other stuff in the background, if they had a healthy story next year with Devers and Ohtani, now you would be talking about a team that would at least be in the mix. And Yoshida, and now this version of Bello. But what we have seen lately has been pathetic, and we can all agree with that. The Red Sox threw a no-hitter through 7 innings yesterday and lost. A no-hitter through 7 innings and lost. And while I know they're good, the Boston Red Sox got swept by the Miami Marlins at home. The Miami Marlins, a team that has made the playoffs once since 2003 and lost 93 games last year, just came into your ballpark and swept you. It's time to start thinking a little bit differently. I'm with the organizational building. I'm for sustainable success. I believe in all of that. I've said over and over again, farm system development is the key to it all. But if you're going to do all that work under the hood, then you better do something to the exterior of the vehicle that makes it look nice. And the guy that can do that is Ohtani. Texter says, why Ohtani? At $600 million, you can get 3 darn good players for that amount. Do you have any faith? See, I'm being dead serious right now. Do you have any faith that the Red Sox are going to spend $200 million on 3 different players? Because when's the last time they spent $200 million? Okay. They spent $175 million on Sale. He broke down. They spent $140 million on Story, and he broke down. They spent $214 on David Price, and he broke down. Okay. I don't want to spend $200 million on 3 different players. I'd rather spend all of it on Ohtani, and I get it. He could get hurt. But he's already had Tommy John surgery as a pitcher. Generally, when you get Tommy John, you're in the clear for at least 5 years. That's kind of the thought process there. He's already had Tommy John, so I'm less worried about that. And if he did break down as a pitcher, you've at least got one of the best hitters in baseball there. Okay, 3 guys at $200 million is a great concept. But everybody else who's gotten that huge money for the Red Sox lately hasn't held up. And frankly, I also don't like, there's also not a lot of free agents out there that you would want to pay $200 million to next year. Next year's free agent crop is not particularly good. I mean, let's go. Okay, Ohtani, great. Marcus Stroman. I'm not paying Marcus Stroman at $33 million or 33 years old next year. I'm not paying him $200 million. I like Marcus Stroman on my team, but he wants to stay with the Cubs. Javi Baez, no, he's not going to be a free agent. Josh Donaldson, no. Joey Votto, no. Kershaw, no. I love Kershaw. He's not coming to Boston. He'll never leave the Dodgers, and he's not worth that kind of money. Charlie Morton, if he doesn't get picked up by Atlanta. Jock Peterson, Michael Conforto, he's not $200 million players. Like, if the Red Sox, Teoscar Hernandez, he's a guy who could get some money, but not going to get $200 million. There are players out there. There's players out there that you can get for, $30 million or $50 million or $75 million, right? Like, you're not, if you don't get Ohtani, you're not just spreading that money around on 3 different players. There's not enough good players to command that kind of money. Go out and get the big guy. Okay, go out and get the big guy. Ohtani, Devers, Yoshida, a better version of Bello, a better version of Casas, Verdugo still there, Story healthy. That's a team that could do some damage. Certainly be better than what we're seeing now. 11 runs in 7 games. Man, I thought my Mariners were bad offensively. 11 runs in 7 games is where the Red Sox are at right now, and swept by the Marlins at home. Beaten by the White Sox 2 out of 3. Beaten by the Twins 2 out of 4. That's 2 teams that are under 500 that just evened or took a series from you, and the Marlins. Sandy Alcantara is the Cy Young winner from a year ago. I get it. He's got great stuff. He came in with an ERA over 5, and you were the team that made him look like the Cy Young again. You throw a no-hitter through 7 innings and lose at your home ballpark. It's unacceptable. Do all the under-the-hood stuff you want, but cosmetically, I need to make this car look better, and Ohtani is the guy that does that. I would rather have Ohtani at $600 million than any of these 3, any 3 combination of these guys at $200 million. None of these guys are worth $200 million. Okay, Jorge Soler, good player, going to be 32 years old. You want to give him $200 million? I don't. Give him 60, sure. If you told me the Red Sox could get Jorge Soler and Matt Chapman and Teoscar Hernandez and Kershaw and Stroman with the savings, then sure, I'd say that. But you can't. Okay? You're not going to get 5 of those guys. It's just not going to happen. I'd rather go for one of them. Yes, Tex says you're getting 2 players. This is Dane in Rochester. You're getting 2 players, basically, with Ohtani, $300 million for the pitcher, $300 million for the batter. Good. Okay, good. Every player on the free agent market can get hurt. We've seen it with Story. We've seen Bogarts be out for the Padres, in and out of the lineup with his wrist issue. I saw it with Robinson Cano for the Mariners, right? Like every big pitch. Carlos Rodon hasn't pitched yet. Every player you sign in free agency can get hurt. I get it. If you sign Ohtani, you're taking a risk. But aren't you tired of counting on Rob Refsnyder to be your 3-hitter? Aren't you tired of Adam Duvall, a guy who's never proven that he can be healthy, having to be at 34, 35 years old, the savior of your lineup? Aren't you tired of having to have James Paxton be a guy you're relying on? Okay, this is the way a team should be built. And I'm telling you right now, your team should have a fundamental core of homegrown players. We talked about that the other day, right? Astros have been built that way. My Mariners are now built that way. Dodgers were built that way. Okay, the teams that are good and sustainable have a homegrown base. That should be the base of your team. Then you have to go find the under the couch covers guys. You have to. But they can't be guys that you rely on. They just have to be nice added bonuses. When I look at the Dodgers, that's Max Muncy. When I look at the Dodgers, that's Chris Taylor. When I look at the Dodgers, that was Justin Turner. Okay? When I look at the Astros, that was guys that you're not quite expecting. Martin Maldonado, who's their starting catcher, under the radar guy. Okay? You need guys like that. Jeremy Pena, another guy from the farm system you weren't quite expecting to be that good, World Series MVP. Yordan Alvarez, who they acquired as a minor league trade throw-in from the Dodgers. Okay? You need some of the guys, the under-the-couch cover guys, to pan out and hit. But also, you need to go out and spend when the time is right. The Red Sox spent on Story. They spent on Devers. I can appreciate that. And yes, they backfired on Sale, but they need to go out and spend again. And I don't trust that they're going to go out and get 5 guys for $600 million. They need to go out and get the best guy available, and that's Ohtani. Ohtani, Yoshida, Bello, Verdugo, that's a team that could do some work. Text says, what did we expect from Bloom's bargain basement shopping? The Red Sox need to fire Bloom now. I don't think they need to fire him, but he needs to recalibrate his thinking to what I have said here. Because what Chaim Bloom has done, and I've talked about this before, and it's worth repeating now. What Chaim Bloom has done is he has tried to thread a very thin needle, and it's very, very difficult. Rather than pull the Band-Aid off and tank, he has decided, okay, we're going to build up the minor leagues, and we're going to try to mix and match at the major league level, right? He doesn't want to tank. He doesn't want to trade away everybody. So that's the quickest way to restock the farm system. He doesn't want to do that. Well, the quickest way to then go all in is to trade from your prospect capital and to go use that to go get players at the major league level. He doesn't want to do that either because he doesn't want to take away from what he's now built. So what's the option for him? The option is let's build up the farm system. Let's not touch it. We're not going all in on selling. We're not going all in on buying. We're just kind of existing in 2 separate worlds. And that's why you see the farm system looking good and the major league team filled with these filler players, these extra players, and these extra players that you're just hoping turn out to be good, right? We saw this in 2021. In 2021, it worked perfectly, right? The Red Sox got to the ALCS. Okay, they still had JD Martinez, and they still had Xander Bogaerts, so that goes without saying. But they made a move. Okay, Kike Hernandez was great. Okay, Kike Hernandez was great in 2021. Martin Perez was fine. Like, you make some of these moves, and they work, and everything looks great. This year, it doesn't work, and it doesn't look good. Okay, your extra guys get hurt. Okay, Kike's not as good. And now Yu Chang is hurt, and Arroyo is hurt, the guy you entrust at second base. And now, Story's hurt too, and that's a big problem. Just these under-the-couch cover guys haven't helped this year like they did in 2021. Texter says, I also agree to get rid of Bloom and fire Alex Cora. You want to fire the manager for something that the front office has given him. This is what I don't understand. Alex Cora led the Red Sox to a title. Okay? So, if you think Alex Cora is a bad manager, then you think that Alex Cora had nothing to do with the 2018 title. Right? If you think Alex Cora is a bad manager, you would think he had nothing to do with the 2018 title. If you think he had nothing to do with the 2018 title, then you're saying that the front office just gave him a good team, right? He was given a good team and he ran with it, and that's fine. But then if you think that about 2018, then you can't blame him for 2023 because you would just sit here and say the front office gave him a bad team, right? You would say he's just kind of there in both scenarios. And I'm not firing a guy. Like, okay, he's playing with Pablo Reyes and Edmanuel Valdez up the middle. He's playing with Pablo Reyes and, Bobby Dolbeck in the infield at some points this season. He's playing with Yu Chang and Kike Hernandez, an out-of-position player at shortstop. This is what he's been given because of what Chaim Bloom has tried to do and thread a very thin needle. Okay? I don't like tanking. I have said that forever. I would rather my team be interesting. Okay? And though the Red Sox are 40-42, they've at least won 40 games. And that is better than the Kansas City Royals, who have won 23, and that is better than the Oakland A's, who have won 21. So the Red Sox have been enjoyable just about half the time. But if he tanked, then the Red Sox would have started, this process would be easier, right? Or this process would go quicker. But instead, we're just kind of left in this middle ground. And I will say this, the Red Sox better figure it out quickly, because if they don't, they are headed for a tank for the rest of the season. Chaim Bloom acknowledged he made a mistake last year, kind of being half in, half out at the trade deadline. He's not going to make that mistake this year. If they're out of it, okay, they're 5 games back of the last wild card spot right now. If they're out of it come after the All-Star break, which is like you start playing again like the 13th or the 14th of July, if they're out of it, you're going to see Paxton gone. And you're going to see Turner gone. And you might see Jansen gone. And you might see Pavetta gone. And you're going to see Kike gone. And you're going to see Duvall gone. Like, if they're out of it, we are headed for the second half of the season being a tank job. And if you don't want that as an organization, if you don't want that as a fan, the team better figure it out. Text says, JD says, no matter what, I will follow the Red Sox. That's good. Kevin says, who the hell wants to fire Cora? That person is not smart. I mean, I'm not going to call names at our listeners, but I don't think this is Cora's fault. I think this is just an organizational philosophy that has backfired. I do. I think Alex Cora is well liked by the by his players. I think Alex Cora is well liked by management or by ownership, and that carries a lot of weight. And I think Alex Cora is a good baseball person. And if Alex Cora got fired, as Buster Olney told us, he'd have a new job the next day. So I don't think that getting rid of Alex Cora solves everything. I can't tell you that he's overrated or underrated, but I know he's not the problem with this team. The problem with this team is the way it's constructed, half in, half out, and injuries, right? Guys the Red Sox have relied on, Adam Duvall, Chris Sale, they haven't been healthy. Corey Kluber, they haven't been healthy. And Kluber's been bad. And then, okay, your one big ticket item in Story hasn't been there. Kike Hernandez, who you thought could handle shortstop, hasn't been able to. Okay, you have tried to piece this together like you did in 2021, and that year it worked, and this year it didn't. That's not Alex Cora's fault. What did Cora do in 2020 to 2023? That's what Phil wants to know. Well, in 2020, he wasn't the manager, right? He was fired because of the suspension. So they had Ron Renicky be the manager in the COVID season. So Alex Cora wasn't there. In 2021, Alex Cora comes back, and he took him to the ALCS, 2 wins away from the World Series. So that's a pretty good start there. 2022, they finish in last. And 2023, I don't know where they're going to finish. They might finish in last, but they're still going to be the best last place finishing team if they get there. Text says, if you're of the mindset that the Red Sox need to pay up when the time is right, how could they let Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts get away? They made mistakes they made a mistake with Xander Bogaerts. Let me address Mookie Betts first. Mookie Betts, the Red Sox hands were tied, or at least Chaim Bloom had his hands tied. Mookie Betts was not Chaim Bloom's fault. And if you think it was, then you're just not paying attention. Let's understand this. Mookie Betts was going into his final year of his contract in 2020. That COVID year, 2020, was Mookie's final year under contract. Chaim Bloom got hired in like November or December of 2020. He was given an edict by management like, hey, we need to cool on the spending. They had spent on Sale. They had given Bogaerts the extension at the time. They had spent on David Price previously. So they're like, hey, we need to cool the spending. And the Red Sox had already screwed the pooch when it comes to Mookie Betts. Like, he was going to test free agency. He was not going to re-sign with the Red Sox without testing free agency. So Bloom comes in and gets told, I have to cut spending. And now this guy, we've already angered to the point where he's going to test free agency no matter what. So now we have to move him and get something for him. And because the Red Sox had no leverage, that's why they didn't get a great return. Now, Verdugo's turned out to be good. Wong is okay. Jeter Downs was a bust. So they didn't get a great return, but Chaim Bloom's hands were tied. So that was not a Chaim Bloom problem. Xander Bogaerts was a Chaim Bloom problem. He screwed that one up. Okay, the problem with Xander Bogaerts was not paying $300 million or $280 million over 11 years. I wouldn't have done that either. The problem was not locking up Xander Bogaerts for $6 and $150 when you had the chance. That was a Chaim Bloom problem. So he did screw that one up. There's no doubt about that. Text says, is Cora going to return in 2024? The reason why I ask about Cora is we presume Bloom is back in 2024. I think that, man, I find this so hard because I don't believe that Chaim Bloom and Alex Cora are a package deal. I think that usually, like in the NFL, when a GM gets fired, they fire the head coach so the GM can pick his own guy. In this case, I don't think that would happen. Okay? Alex Cora, to me, is not Chaim Bloom's guy. Chaim Bloom kind of is like, ownership loves Cora. So I think they're attached to him. I don't think Bloom is attached to Cora. So if Bloom gets fired, I think Cora stays, and they say, look, Cora's part of the job. If you want the job, Alex Cora is going to be here. I guess the only thing that could happen is that if Cora doesn't like Bloom and Bloom stays, Cora could say, I'm leaving. But I don't think that they're attached to each other. I think Bloom likes Cora, but I think Bloom has kind of had Cora thrust upon him. Let's see. All right, we're going to step aside. We're going to get the CBS News update. When we come back, it's just going to be Red Sox lineups. That's all we have time for. The pregame show starts at 6:07, so we'll step aside. CBS News update. Come back. Red Sox Blue Jays lineups were brought to you by Fecto Homes, the total home solution in Montpelier. The text line's been popping today, 802-585-3026. That's thanks to Ayer Auto Sales, online at ayerautosales.com. Lineups next. If you're not sticking around for us, then have a great 4th of July weekend, and I will see you back here on Monday. We do have a full show on Monday. And let's see, Monday is the 3rd. We have a full show. Red Sox are off. It's all 90 minutes. We have a full show on Tuesday. So next week is a good week for us in terms of having some full shows. So lineups are next. If you're out, I understand it. And I will see you on Monday.
WDEV FM 96.5, W243 AT Berry, 98.3 W.